To West Germany, where reunification is changing the role of Carolina soldiers.
The death of an elephant has North Carolina zoo workers worried about disease. We'll have the latest on their investigation.
Plus, how a Jesse Helms ad is costing a medical charity thousands. All next on News 36.
An historic occasion for Charlotte today in aviation, business, and pleasure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Church.
And I'm Rick Jackson. Welcome to News 36 at 6. Lufthansa Airlines 747 touched down at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, opening the Queen City's first nonstop service to the European continent. The plane's arrival was hailed with cheers from a crowd, which included the U.S. Secretary of Transportation. Kurt Lee now is live at Charlotte Douglas. He has that story.
Rick and Karen, you don't see the plane behind me right now because it's in Houston, but it certainly turned some heads here earlier today. The big jet was a sight for those unaccustomed to really big planes here. The 747 Combi, short for combination cargo and passenger plane, brought 226 people and 31 tons of cargo from Europe. It also brought the promise of jobs and prestige, according to the U.S. Secretary of Transportation.
There's no question that a city that doesn't have international service is not going to really survive in the international economy we face. Every major city in the United States and in Europe and the Pacific Rim is working on expanding international service.
A brass band trumpeted the plane's arrival, and the Chamber of Commerce looks forward to better days ahead.
We have a lot of foreign companies here now, many from Europe, and I think this will only increase that.
And there's also the non-business side. Joyous reunions for those here strictly on personal business. Keith Darby of Wingate is seeing his mother after more than a year in Hungary. Lufthansa says it will help out on Charlotte's push to establish both types of links.
We will do our best to make this new service a success by promoting business and private travel on both ends of this new route.
Now, the plane will arrive here from Houston at about 8:30 tonight, and at 9:55 it departs with Mayor Myrick and company for Frankfurt. Rick and Karen?
You mentioned Houston. Does this mean that we now have a new link to Houston as well, Kurt?
No, many people, that's a good question. Many people were wondering about that. You cannot get on the plane in Houston. Lufthansa does not have a license or whatever to fly within the country, only from points here to Germany.
All right. Very good. Thanks,
sense.
Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt. Well, when the first Charlotte to Frankfurt Lufthansa flight does arrive in Germany, it'll be greeted by our News 36 team.
All this week, we've been bringing you reports from our new European neighbor, and tonight, Tom Miller takes us to a place thousands of Americans call home, including some from right here in North Carolina.
And he also has an inside look at one of the mainstays of the German economy.
Good evening again from the streets of Frankfurt, West Germany. Tonight we are in a neighborhood well known to Germans. It's a neighborhood called Sachsenhausen. The streets are lined with centuries-old buildings and sidewalk cafes where Germans right now are enjoying some of that mainstay you mentioned. We'll get to that story in just a moment. But first we take you to the outskirts of Frankfurt to an area called Friedberg for a look at life for Carolina soldiers here in Germany. It is also a look at their concerns about the future. This is Drake Caserne, home to some of the 17,000 American soldiers of the U.S. Army's 3rd Armor and Infantry Division. Their mission to repel attack by any Eastern Bloc country. For soldiers from the Carolinas, life on this Frankfurt base can be both pleasant and frustrating. Private First Class James Harris of Charlotte has been here almost 2 years. He says he's enjoyed seeing other parts of Germany.
On the weekends, you know, you can get 4-day passes and go like to Switzerland and Australia.
Have you done that much?
I've been to Holland, Amsterdam a couple times.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, it was all right.
But for many, like Raleigh Walker, a gunner from Spivey's Corner, adjusting to the German lifestyle is difficult.
People don't speak the same language, so sometimes it's hard to communicate, and it makes it a little bit hard to get out and meet people.
In addition to that awkwardness, there is now uncertainty and concern that the reunification of Germany will sharply reduce the role of the 3rd Armored Division.
It's a possibility. Of course, the wall went down so quick, anything's possible anymore. We were just waiting for word to come from Washington to tell us how we're going to respond to the budget cuts.
The military careers of officers like 2nd Lieutenant Robert Rhine of Morven, North Carolina, near Charlotte, are secure. But Rhine knows those below the rank of lieutenant face an uncertain future.
You're always promised a home, and you're always promised to be taken care of in the military. And that was what they were being stable off of. And now they're looking at they're going to have to get out and go into civilian life, and it's tough on them.
Some of those Carolina soldiers I spoke with today wanted to send the universal message back home to their relatives, so here it is. Hi, Mom. As I said, we are in Sachsenhausen, an area filled with German pubs and sidewalk cafes where Germans drink their beer with pride. But why are they so proud of their beer? Well, today we went to a German brewery to find out. Germans have been drinking Henninger beer for more than a century. The ingredients of German beers are controlled by the government. That means they're made with more hops than American beers and never contain corn or rice like some American beers. Today, the Henninger brewing process is all computer controlled. This brewery turns out pasteurized beer at the rate of 60,000 bottles an hour. There are so many breweries in Germany, they keep 55,000 people employed. And the typical German beer drinker consumes about 63 gallons of beer each year. But we're told that alcoholism is not widespread in Germany because here it's a tradition for most Germans to do their drinking at mealtime.
Beer is for the German drinker more like a food, not for enjoyment. He drinks it for food, not for enjoyment.
Last year, the Henninger Brewery alone sold 1.5 million barrels of their beer. They feel part of that success is due to the water they use in their brewing process.
We have our own spring for brewing water, and it's a very clean and good brewing water.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us about your beer?
Oh, I think you have to taste it.
I think you're right. That's good on a hot day. Makes me wonder what your workers do when they get hot and thirsty.
Oh, yes, I think that's the best thing to drink a beer.
They're allowed to?
Oh, yes, it's allowed.
While they're working?
Yes, they can drink. If you're not too much, they can drink it during the work.
I don't think that would happen in America. How does German beer compare with ours? Well, the alcohol content is just about the same, but the Germans say their beer is more full-bodied than ours, and that our beer tastes like lemonade. Well, at any rate, tomorrow night on News 36 at 6, we will report on the first direct flight from Charlotte to Frankfurt and on the first impressions of Charlotteans who arrive here and get a taste of the West German culture. Reporting from Frankfurt, I'm Tom Miller, News 36 at 6.